January 22nd, 1991, SAS soldiers were inserted behind enemy lines in Iraq. Their mission? Destroy Scud missile launchers. The patrol was a resounding success, completing their mission with ease and also gathering huge amounts of intelligence that will be used to win Desert Storm. Except, that's complete rubbish. They were compromised within hours. 3 were killed, 4 were captured and tortured, while 1 escaped. So what really happened to Bravo 20? The truth, or a version of it, is more tragic, more heroic, and more complicated than the legend. Welcome back to the war. In January 1991, the Gulf War had just begun. Saddam Hussein's Iraq had invaded Kuwait. Coalition forces were preparing to liberate it. But there was a problem. Iraqi Scud missiles. Saddam was launching Scuds at Israel, trying to drag them into the war and fracture the coalition. If Israel retaliated, Arab nations might withdraw their support. The coalition could collapse. The Scuds had to be stopped. American satellites couldn't find the mobile launchers. They were hidden in the vast desert in Iraq. Someone had to go in on foot, find them, destroy them. The SAS were chosen. On January the 22nd, 1991, an 8-man patrol was inserted behind enemy lines. Their call sign? Bravo 20. The team was led by Sergeant Andy McNab. The patrol included Chris Ryan, Vince Phillips, Stephen Legs Lane, Robert Consiglio, Malcolm McGowan, Mike Coburn, and Ian Pring. Their mission? Establish an observation post, watch the main supply route, call in airstrikes on any Scud launchers, stay hidden for up to 14 days. They were dropped by helicopter at night, carrying 200 pounds of equipment each: radios, weapons, ammunition, food, water, everything you'd need to survive 2 weeks in enemy territory. The helicopter disappeared into the darkness. The 8 men were alone, deep behind enemy lines. Within 24 hours, everything would go wrong. The first problem was the ground. Intelligence said the area was desert, sandy, easy to dig in. It wasn't. The ground was rock hard. They couldn't dig a proper observation post. They'd be exposed. The second problem was the weather. It was freezing, far colder than expected. They hadn't brought cold weather gear because intelligence said it would be mild. It wasn't. Temperatures dropped below 0 at night. The third problem? Civilians. Intelligence said the area was uninhabited. It wasn't. There were farms, shepherds, and a nearby town. Within hours of landing, they were spotted by a local goat herder. As they were preparing to leave, they thought they heard a tank approaching, so took up defensive positions. This turned out to be a bulldozer, but now they were definitely compromised. Within hours, Iraqi military units were searching for them. Shortly afterwards, as they were exfiltrating, a firefight with Iraqi APCs and soldiers took place. The fourth problem? Communications. Their radios didn't work. They couldn't call for extraction. They couldn't call in airstrikes. They were cut off, alone, with Iraqi forces closing in. McNab made the call. They'd abort the mission. Initially, they made their way back to the original infiltration point, as per British SOPs, when radio contact is lost. The team should have then moved south towards Saudi Arabia, but headed for the Syrian border, on foot, through enemy territory in freezing temperatures. It should have taken 3 nights of hard marching. They had had enough water for maybe 2 days. No cold weather gear, and the entire Iraqi military was looking for them. The escape began. The patrol moved at night, across open desert, avoiding roads, towns, and Iraqi patrols. But they were carrying too much weight. 200 pounds of equipment each. They started dumping gear, rations, spare ammo, anything non-essential. By the second night, they were exhausted, dehydrated, freezing. Then the group unintentionally split up. While McNab tried to contact a passing coalition aircraft using his TAC-B, the group didn't follow the standard emergency rendezvous procedure and they'd lost contact. No radios, no way to regroup. Each man was on his own. Vince Phillips, who was travelling with Ryan and McGowan, was already suffering with hypothermia and could no longer hold his rifle, and his condition only got worse. Around 8 PM, Phillips lost contact with the group. The other two searched for him, but decided to continue on. He died of hypothermia shortly after. On January the 27th, Stephen Legs Lane died of hypothermia after swimming across the Euphrates River that morning. Robert Consiglio was shot and killed by armed civilians. McNab, Mike Coburn, and Ian Pring were captured. All were moved numerous times, interrogated, tortured, beaten and starved. McGowan, who had been travelling with Ryan, was captured while searching for a vehicle. He shot and killed an Iraqi soldier before his rifle ran out of ammunition. He was unsure why the soldiers who captured him didn't return fire. They were held in Abu Ghraib prison. That left one man, Chris Ryan. Chris Ryan was alone. He had an outdated map and no idea where the others were. He had a choice: surrender or walk to Syria. He walked. For 7 days and 8 nights, Chris Ryan moved through enemy territory. He walked at night, hid during the day, avoided roads, towns and patrols. He had very little food, almost no water. His feet were destroyed. Blisters turned to open wounds. Every step was agony. He drank from puddles. Some were contaminated. Iraqi patrols were everywhere. Helicopters searched from above. Roadblocks covered every route. But Ryan kept moving, north, towards Syria. On January the 30th, 1991, Chris Ryan crossed the Syrian border. He'd walked approximately 300 kilometres, alone, through enemy territory, with no food, no water and no support. It was the longest escape and evasion in SAS history. He was picked up by Syrian forces and handed over to the British. He was the only member of Bravo 20 to escape. The final count: 3 dead: Vince Phillips, Stephen Legs Lane, Robert Consiglio. 4 captured and tortured: Andy McNab, Malcolm McGowan, Mike Coburn, Ian Pring. 1 escaped: Chris Ryan. 0 Scud launchers destroyed. Bravo 20 was a catastrophic failure. But why? An investigation followed. Questions were asked. What went wrong? The intelligence was faulty. The area wasn't uninhabited. The ground wasn't suitable. The weather wasn't mild. The equipment failed. The radios didn't work. They couldn't communicate, couldn't call for help. The planning was rushed. The patrol was inserted without proper reconnaissance, without backup plans, without contingencies. But the SAS soldiers themselves, they did everything they could. They made impossible decisions under impossible circumstances. They showed courage, endurance, and loyalty to each other. 3 gave their lives. 4 endured torture. 1 walked 300 kilometres to freedom. The controversy came later. Andy McNab wrote a book, Bravo 20. It became a bestseller. Chris Ryan wrote his own account, the one that got away. The 2 versions didn't match. A 3rd book, The Real Bravo 20, by Michael Asher, disputed both accounts, claimed the patrol exaggerated their achievements, questioned their decisions. The debate continues to this day. Who's really telling the truth? What really happened? But here's what's not in debate. 3 men died, 4 were tortured, 1 walked out alone, and all 8 showed the kind of courage most of us will never need to find. Bravo 20 became the most famous SAS mission in history, not because it succeeded, but because it failed. It showed that even elite soldiers can be let down by bad intelligence, faulty equipment, and poor planning. It showed that courage isn't enough when the mission is flawed from the start. It also showed what the SAS are made of. Vince Phillips and Legs Lane kept moving until their bodies gave out. Robert Consiglio fought to the end. McNab, McGowan, Coburn and Pring endured torture and refused to break. Chris Ryan walked 300 kilometres alone through enemy territory. That's not failure, that's heroism. The mission failed, but the men didn't. Bravo 20 changed how the SAS operates. Better intelligence, better equipment, better planning. Lessons learned in blood. And it reminded the world that behind every Special Forces mission are real men. Fallible, mortal, but unbreakable in spirit. Now don't forget to check out our other videos on missions carried out by the SAS and SBS. Hi soldiers, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments, and check out our merchant membership programs. And don't forget to check back in again soon. That's an order.